I want to start with Japan because we've seen a big move, fairly big move in the yen of late, just in yesterday's session for Europe, but into today it's having an impact on stocks over in the Japanese market. And I wonder if we really think that the Prime Minister intended to send communication about the likelihood of a December hike from the BOJ, because that's how the market has really interpreted this. How do you read what's going on in Japan?
Yeah, this is really interesting, Anna, and it's very confusing. It's one I've been kind of topped and turned on myself. As you know, I tend to be a little bit of a perma-bear on the yen, thinking that because the country can never, ever afford to have positive real yields, ultimately over a much longer period of time, they can only inflate away their debt pile or monetize it. And they're never going to get inflation because the demographic stagnant economy, so therefore they're going to have to ultimately monetize their massive debt pile over time, which is my long-term structural multi-year negative view on the yen. Last week, when Ishiba became Prime Minister, I was convinced that, hey, this is the really hawkish candidate. I probably was late to kind of get focused on the story. But the more I read, I was like, this guy is really hawkish. He's going to give the cover for Ueda, who we know has gone very hawkish recently. Give him the cover to be aggressive with that normalization for a period. And I thought that would be the focus of the market for the next month. And therefore, I thought that since Ishiba won the election, we'd suddenly might be talking about an October hike. It might suddenly be in play, and that would be the dynamic to support yen in the short term. Instead, we've gone the exact opposite way with that idea, that headline that not only is Ishiba suddenly seeming to be very dovish and pushing back in the idea of hikes, but it's also the fact that it doesn't seem to be communicating in the same way as Ueda about like their conversation, their alignment. And I think that is undermining the yen right now. So I have to say that's kind of outlining the situation. I haven't given very much clarity how to play it from here. I guess my inclination is that maybe Ishiba's remarks were slightly overread into, and that we probably will see a little bit more hawkishness come in the days and weeks ahead. And I think the market is enthusiastic to leap on that theme, so they'll interpret it given half a chance.
How does that coincide or maybe play against some of the carry trade unwind that seems to still be an element of this market?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting enough. I think since the Fed and also with China as well, we're seeing some more kind of carry trade enthusiasm. People, want to get back into those risk-on trades. But it's complicated a little bit because obviously this is a big Asia boom. It's an Asia trading boom. That should be good for Asian currencies, which ultimately might support the yen as well. So this is another one where there's a little bit of a quandary. I think what we're getting to with these questions is that, the yen has been one of the ultimate macro trades for the last few years. It's been wonderful in terms of that it's been a very clear depreciation trend, very obvious. And even the turning points, which are normally triggered around intervention, they're quite well telegraphed or obvious. You're getting to those danger zones or the data points. So it's just been a wonderful way to make money in the macro space. I think yen might prove a graveyard for macro traders at the end of the year. I think it's proving more difficult, and I think there are more interesting macro trades out there. I think the fact is yields still have to go higher into year end, and I'm still very bullish kind of global stock markets. I think there's a lot of potential still being made around the EM side in particular, also around Asia, maybe even not the pure China play.